We are such a peaceful culture, and what the world needs now is peace. I want Australians to celebrate it, let it become a thing of empathy and compassion for the rest of the world. Somehow the rest of the world lost their law. This was my dinner table for the first couple of years. When the other people started working here, we started writing down the names of stuff we saw around us in our language, Yuin. So, you know, we've got Jitty Jitty for the willy wagtail we just heard then, Guganyala, Kookaburra, Burrell, kangaroo, which will be out here soon. Birin Durin Durin is the plover. I've only just known that word, and Mingaling, which is the mosquito, Mingaling. You know, I'm not a natural language person, so I have to learn this stuff, and this is a good way for me to learn it. And this is your country, you know. This is the first language of Australia in this area. For Australians to learn this stuff, I think is exciting. I don't see it as a challenge or defying Australians to be here, but it's a matter of sharing it. You know, it's a beautiful language. There's no reason why non-Aboriginal people don't learn these words. I'm a fiction writer, but because I was never satisfied with the way Australian history was written, simply because it didn't include Aboriginal people at all, I started writing histories. So then I had to go and relearn Australian history completely. I had to do the whole thing again. And it was a bitter experience because part of me was saying, well, how stupid am I to have believed the story that I believed. The other part was this story is incredibly sad. And even in my hometown, people don't know what Mallacoota means. They think it means happy meeting place or something. You know, about 700 places in Australia are called happy meeting place because the history wants to deny the fact there was a massacre right there. The name means white pipe clay, and it doesn't sound very exciting, except that it is sacred white pipe clay. Aboriginal people didn't want to dance. All the Yuin people, of course, but other people. There are dance troupes in Melbourne who use this clay. But, you know, all the colours are significant. You've got to be careful how you use them. You know, that was just an example, but and I could only use my left hand. It's just impossible to look at the country as if it was just a block of land, you know. It's not a part of Australia that's not a living site. And so I thought we really needed to look at Aboriginal story, not as bedtime stories for 7-year-olds, but as philosophical stories for adults. And the philosophy of this country is enormous. It's really hard to explain how hot and scary this fire was here. I had to get off this hill really smartly. I didn't have a lot of time, but I looked back at this fella and I said to myself, I'll see you tomorrow. And that's how it worked out. Because it's too big. But this is what our forest should look like. More big trees. And if we're going to grow plantation timbers, not to have them a metre apart. In those plantation forests, the ground was white as snow when I drove through on New Year's Day this year. Just like snow had fallen, and every tree was dead. Here we are. This is the same fire, same day, and the only trees that are dead are small. These big fellas are burnt 20 metres up the trunk, this one a bit more, and they're all alive. Good to see country thriving like this. People have got such a simplistic view of fire. You know, a lot of conservationists in Mallacoota thought that it was all doom and gloom, and after the fire, and I said, look, you're going to have the best orchid season you've ever had in your life. And that's how it's worked out. We've got orchids here we haven't seen for 70 years. This is Mamajan Nalok, the dancing grass, and we harvested that in May, and we've been making loaves of bread from this grass right through COVID. The yield per acre is not the same as for wheat, but then this is perennial. You never plough this, you don't add fertiliser, you don't add water. This is a miracle plant. This dancing grass, kangaroo grass, they love drought. You know, they flourish in it. And that's what we've got to learn, is no such thing as drought, it's just the wrong plants. There's the seed there. You know, bakers have fallen over themselves to get hold of this. We just can't supply them with enough at the moment. You know, it's so nutritious as well. It's more nutritious than normal flour, and it's gluten-free. And that's because of the fire. You know, the fire gives our plants an advantage, so our dancing grass comes back ever stronger, and these other things are inhibited. We replicate that pattern over a few years, we'll have made quite a significant change. That means that in autumn this year, we're going to have to burn this grass. You wait for the prevailing wind to switch from the north to the west, then you wait for 3 dews in a row. As soon as you get those 3 dews in a row, it's safe to burn. If you put sheep in here, they'd have this killed in a year. They'd have this destroyed in a year. The Australians say that we rode on the sheep's back. Well, the sheep rode on ours. And if we're talking cultural prosperity and environmental concern for Mother Earth, the ways to care for Mother Earth, these are important concepts to get a hold of, so that, you know, 120,000 years of knowledge and philosophy isn't lost, so that we can start to think about the possibilities of this land and what we might do with it, how we might share it. The reality of Australia is that black fellas aren't going away, white fellas aren't going to go away. So they're the 2 facts we have to operate on. It's what we do with those 2 facts which will determine what kind of culture we are in 500 years. But I think it is possible for humans to love each other more and be more respectful, particularly to Mother Earth. Anything we do to damage this is a bloody crime. This is where Australia has to change. You know, like the birthing trees that got bulldozed the other day. You know, this is where Australia's got to change. Take it seriously. You know, this is real history, real culture. This is spirituality. You know, the young people are my inspiration because they're adaptable to these ideas. They're more empathetic to Aboriginal people than any other generation has been before in this country. And so now is the time when we can really create something in Australia which is good for the country, good for Aboriginal people, good for Australia. This summer, no one's going to be able to go to Venice. You'll have to go to Esperance and Townsville within Australia, and this is a great opportunity for us to love our country and learn our country and allow Aboriginal people to put our side of the story. The only loss will be a false understanding of history. We'll have to get rid of that. That'll be the only thing we lose. And, you know, there will be some who go kicking and screaming in holding on to that idea because it justifies occupation. But really, we've just got to get over it. The country was stolen. Aboriginal people are still here. White people are still here. Get on with it. You know, there's a lot of hard work to do.